Hey, welcome back to Round. In this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to make a switch tester in Fusion 360. Okay, let's begin. First select the bottom work plane in Fusion 360 and create a sketch. Here I've just created a sketch of 16.5 by 16.5, which according to mechanicalkeyboards.com is 1 millimeter bigger than the average Cherry MX switch. This should count for most variations of Cherry MX housing kind of switches, whether B-Sun, Gateron, Kali, or just Cherry MX. Okay, next we're going to create a rectangular array. This is how we're going to create the matrix of the keyboards. For the quantity, you can select how many you want, and for the distance, I just kept on dragging it up until I felt happy with it. Originally I went for 10, but I ended up going for 5, as I feel like 10 won't fit on my build plate of my Ender 3. So here I'm just doing some contemplating about what I should do. So next we're going to select the x-axis. I went for 5 again here, and I just kept on dragging it out until the spacing felt right. I wanted enough spacing so I could put labels on the switches for my more obscure switches, which I don't know off by heart. Okay, once we've done that, I'm going to create a rectangle around the matrix we've just created it. I didn't manage to get it perfect, but I'm going to fix that in the later steps by using the measuring tool. However, you could probably get it perfect if you know what you're doing. Then I just got the measuring tool and I measured all the sides to make sure that they're right. Obviously one edge is slightly bigger than the other and the top edge is slightly smaller than the bottom edge, but we're just going to roll with it for now until we can fix it. Okay, then I'm going to use the move tool to try and fix the mistake I've made. So I dragged it across until it was right. It wasn't actually right this try, but I managed to get it right on the second try. Here you can see that I've moved it incorrectly, so I'm going to move it again by another 6.75 millimeters, which should correct for my error. And then we're going to double check my measurements to make sure they're correct. As you can see, that's 20 millimeters. That edge is 20 millimeters. But the top edge is definitely not 20 millimeters, so we're going to move that up as well. How I decided how much to move it up is I just put the two values into a calculator and then divide by 2. And then took away the difference, or added the difference. Once you've got a perfect circle, we're going to measure again to make sure it is perfect. Next we're going to fillet the edges. I prefer rounded edges, just because they're less sharp and you don't catch your finger on them. I went for a 10 millimeter radius, as I think that's rounding the corners enough, and 40 millimeters is definitely too much. You can go for how much you want. You can either do it now or when you've extruded it as a body, but when you extrude it as a body it's going to take longer, so I just did it now. Okay, well, let's finish the sketch. Just going to pan to make sure I've got everything in my view, and then I'm going to extrude it. For this I extruded by 11.6, as that's a millimeter higher than the average Cherry MX switch, which means the top housing will stick slightly above, and we can have the stem slightly above so we can put keycaps on it if you wish. Next we're going to chamfer the internal edges of the switch holders. This takes quite a long time. You just want to go around clicking and selecting all the edges. This took me quite a while, which is why I've sped it up in this clip. Okay, now you want to chamfer it by 1 millimeter. I just went to the top view here just to make sure everything's right, and then I've just saved my work. Make sure you always save your work. Here I experimented with filleting, but I didn't end up doing it, so I'm going to do it in the next step. Yep, that's 1mm chamfer at an equal distance. Here I'm just orbiting around to make sure everything looks correct. Now we're going to fillet. So for this, I just filleted it by 5mm at a rolling ball edge, so that gives a nice smooth finish, especially with 3D printing. And it's a relatively easy process to 3D print, and that's how you make a switch opener in Fusion 360. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, I guess.